Hello, today I will be doing a review of my litehawk Brute. This is my two-wheel drive monster truck. It comes brushed. I've seen a lot of videos on there, helpful. Kevin Millard, I know, does a lot of videos on this, final thoughts and stuff. He does show you how to tune the suspension to keep it from bottoming out. A lot of good videos on his part. I haven't seen anyone with the brushless setup in this truck. This truck is WL Toys makes the same version of this truck. Their version is the L969. They also have an L959 buggy and an L202, which actually runs the brushless setup that is compatible with this truck. But before I get into that, let me show you what you get when you buy a brushed. You get this 380 sealed can motor. These motors are, I don't know. To me, these motors are kind of junk. They don't, I broke them in properly. I burnt through probably 3 of these in like 3 months. Didn't get more than, I'd say, probably 10, 11 runs out of them before they just gave out. So, the good news is they're pretty cheap. About $5. Bad news is they come from China, like all the parts from this car. So it's going to take about a month to get to your front door. The ESC receiver that it comes with is pretty good. Haven't had this go out on me. It actually has a silicone clear coat on the board. I know a lot of people who did reviews of this truck said they got dirt and stuff down in there, and it's not really waterproofed. This one is a little bit more. Clearly the switch is not, but definitely the board down in there is. It does run a Dean's connector. I would definitely recommend, if you're going to keep it brushed, maybe look into getting a different brushed motor. Something a little better. Maybe a Traxxas Titan motor. I think might even fit in here. So yeah, it does come with this 2.4 gigahertz radio. Nice soft foam on the wheel. Steering and throttle trim. Runs on 4 AA batteries. The battery it comes with is a 1500 milliamp 7.4 volt lithium ion battery. You get about 10 to 15 minutes of runtime depending on train and how much you're on the throttle or not. The body of this truck is actually a Lexan body. I have duct taped mine completely up because I have broken most of it, but the duct tape holds up pretty well. There's nothing to protect the front bumper here. So I would recommend putting a front bumper on here of some sort to help protect it. I plan on doing that myself, actually. You'll see I've broken this. I actually hit a mailbox. I hopped a curb at 30 miles an hour with this brushless motor and hit a mailbox. And it, right on this wheel, it broke my skid plate and my shock tower up in here. So I gotta buy the parts. I'm waiting on those to come in. The good news is I was able to rebuild the front end for about 13, 14 bucks. Bad news is, again, parts take about a month to get here. So hopefully when those come in, I'll be able to get some running videos up. Like I said, this is the brushless setup. So we'll get into that. It does run good off the battery, the stock battery that it comes with. The truck I did duct tape up, like I said. I did add custom lights. They run off this 9-volt battery in here, which is good, so they're not running off your lipos, wasting up some battery. Taking away from your runtime. Body pins for this thing, just real quick. They're pretty small, pretty hard to grab. So I've actually taken zip strips, put them through the end there. Makes them a lot easier to pull off, put on. And it actually makes them easier to find if they like pop off in the driveway or when you go over jumps or whatnot. Especially if you use neon colors and not black. These shocks on here are plastic shocks, so they're not great. This is kind of a toy. This is more toy grade than hobby grade, but there's definitely a lot of hobby grade on here too. So this servo in here, pretty good. Not waterproof. So don't test that. It's pretty responsive, works real well. I haven't had any problems with shredding the gears in it or anything, so that's a good thing. Works pretty good. Tires are pretty good. They are They don't have foam inserts, they're just tire and rim, but you do get pretty good traction out of them. You could probably actually, I know because it's rear wheel drive, it does run 12mm hex back there, so you probably get a set of Traxxas Stampede wheels, because I know they have a 2-wheel drive, and put those on here, and they should work fine. It might slow your car down a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like you'd probably get better traction and a little bit more ride height, because they'd definitely be a little bit bigger. Maybe with the brushless motor they'd be better too. They don't really give you any upgrades for this truck. Everything is pretty much plastic. It does come with ball bearings in the wheels. There are bushings on your differential cup inside. There are metal dog bones for this truck. They do make those. They actually come with this system here. I do not use them. I feel like they don't fit as well. And I haven't had a problem with the plastic ones that are in there. You know, they're kind of beefy. So I haven't run into any real issues with those. The radio that's in this thing, or the receiver, my bad. It's kind of cheap. I don't really like this one. I mean, it works pretty good. The circuit board in there is kind of loose. You can't really see it. I've taped it up. I was running it outside and it's snowing. Just taking a little extra precaution. But it's kind of loose in there, which is a downside. It's the same connector to plug in your ESC that it is with most Traxxas and well, just about every RC car. Your actual your servo here is a 5-wire servo, so it's not like most other servos. So you really can't. I haven't seen any other receivers that you can run that on. The good news is with this, you don't have to buy a new radio. It does run the same radio. You might be able to put a different brushless setup on here. I would say maybe the 380 brushless Traxxas motor out of the Mini E-Revo might fit in this. That is a 380 motor. I'm not 100% sure. I plan on trying that eventually, but right now this setup works pretty good. It does have a cooling fan on here. I don't know what ampage this is, but like I said, the stock battery runs really good in this. I also did buy an upgrade battery, which I'll show you in a minute. Actually, the brushless motor itself back here is it's pretty good. I put this motor heatsink on here. It works pretty well. It keeps it pretty cool. It also is kind of cold outside. Haven't really run it in warm temperatures. So it's been about 30 degrees outside, and it's kept the motor really cold. Not cold, but cooler than usual. So that might be a lot to do with it too. So I don't know exactly what the motor temps would be, you know, giving non-winter conditions. It's definitely a lot faster than the brush motor. I haven't had any problems with this setup. Suspension, also had to put zip strips in there, some preload spacers. I give it some more stiffness in the back. I also Kevin Millard does a video on how to put little springs inside these little shock towers to make it so that they don't go down all the way and whatnot. I actually went ahead and bought some from the local hardware store and did that myself. Definitely recommend that, especially with the brushless setup. It is going to squat a lot more, so you're going to need that extra little bit. It is pretty good setup and definitely runs really well. I would definitely recommend this truck to anyone. People who want trucks for their kids that don't want to spend a lot, but they want the speed of a hobby grade. Anyone who's been into cars for a long time and just wants something to mess around with in their backyard even, is definitely a good starter RC car too. So really, I don't see how you could go wrong with this. It's got quite a fair amount of upgradability to it, so that's good. The battery I did upgrade to a 2000 milliamp 20C 30C burst rate 2S LiPo. I get about 20 to 25 minutes of runtime out of that. So that's a pretty good LiPo. I did have to cut out in here a little bit to fit the universal terminal in through there, but it is pretty good. This does not have a LiPo cutoff, so just beware that if you run this, you will need a LiPo alarm or a smart stop setup to run on your battery to where you're not going to kill your LiPos. So that's something to watch out for with this setup. Other than that, it's a pretty good truck, pretty good setup. Definitely like it. Like I said, definitely recommend it to anyone who's looking into RC cars or just looking for something new. It is really fun. We'll pull wheelies non-stop from a dead stop with this setup. It's really, really great fun. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to comment, ask questions. I will answer them the best that I can.